A child with special needs is a child who has been identified as needing some type of special support. It might be educational, it might be behavioral, it could be nutritional.
In schools across the country, the number of students who require such special support continues to grow. For the school nutrition staff, the challenge is meeting the special nutrition needs of any student, regardless of the disability or health problem.
Jalen's food allergies are peanut and soy. When we found out about this, it was from going to the emergency room and just having a lot of tests done.
My daughter has Angelman syndrome. She basically has no ability to speak. And from birth, she also had food allergies, allergic to dairy, eggs, and soy. And then in December of 1999, she was diagnosed with diabetes, unrelated to the Angelman syndrome.
Bucky is autistic. He's allergic to 7 different foods. He's very restricted as to what he can have. He can have mashed potatoes, but he can't have the gravy. He can have broccoli, but he can't have the cheese sauce on top of it. He can have a hamburger, but he can't have the bun. So they have to accommodate all of that.
Brianna was in the 5th grade. We went to the doctor, and the doctor checked her sugar to see if she was high, and it was over 500. We went to the hospital. There, they placed her in ICU, and about 2 hours after being placed in ICU, we found out that she was diagnosed diabetes type 1.
Veronica, she's able to eat any kind of food here in the school, in the cafeteria, like at home. Every time she has her lunchtime or her breakfast, it's the same thing the other child have it, but the only difference is blend. It's going like puree.
Samantha has been dealing with PKU since birth. She's now 5. She has to have protein to grow, but on the flip side, she can't have too much protein. The main concern right now is to make sure Samantha does stick to a diet.
Child nutrition at Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools is ready to handle any of the challenges that come at us with special dietary needs, texture modification, diabetes, food allergies. We have 150 schools, almost 130,000 students. 15,000 of those students have some kind of a disability, and most of them are mainstreamed into the schools. We do have one school for exceptional children with about 200 students. We do have numerous children on special diets. We've gone from about 50 special diets about 5 years ago to in excess of 700 currently.
To meet the needs of children with disabilities, health problems, or special dietary requirements, schools follow a number of federal and state laws, regulations, and guidelines. These include the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and the Americans with Disabilities Act.
The Rehabilitation Act of 1973 is an act designed to protect the civil rights of people with disabilities. Section 504 levels the playing field for children with disabilities who don't need special education.
What makes a child qualified for special education services comes from a federal law called Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA. That law is the federal law that says children who have special needs must receive a free and appropriate public education. Every state then promulgates their own state laws based on the federal law.
Child nutrition, of course, is part of the National School Breakfast Program and National School Lunch Program. There are certain rules that the federal government dictates to us as to what is a complete school breakfast and school lunch, as well as after-school snacks. We also have many state regulations that vary from state to state. Any child needing a modification to their diet other than the typical school breakfast or school lunch must have the order telling us what the diagnosis is and what the modifications to the diet are, whether it's a food allergy or an intolerance or inborn error of metabolism or diabetes or childhood obesity, asthma. We try to use our regular menu that's planned for the student body and make modifications in texture or ingredients without ordering special products. So what we do is we modify their intake by giving additional allowed items to make their school meal. We've increased the number of special diets that we can service for several reasons. We do have the fortune of having a full-time registered dietitian on staff, which many smaller counties may not have that available to them. We do advertise that the service is available through both the internet as well as the parent handbook that goes out the first of every school year. It is reasonable for Charlotte-Mecklenburg with a full-time dietitian on staff to deal with food intolerances and other food allergies that are not life-threatening. We are very much in tune with nutrition as part of the entire education process for the student. So the dining experience in the cafeteria needs to be positive, whether it's a student that can eat a normal school lunch and school breakfast or has special dietary requirements that we've modified menus for.
The goal of the federal and state regulations is to ensure that all students receive an appropriate education alongside their peers. By ensuring that students have healthy meals and positive mealtime experiences in the cafeteria, the food service staff can have an important impact on the educational success of all students.